everyone, welcome to today's episode. I am Durga Prasad, Salesforce consultant. Today we are continuing our journey into Salesforce Data Cloud. In the last episode, we covered data ingestion using standard bundles and best practices. Today we are going to take the next step into Data Cloud, data mapping and best practices. Let's have a quick recap. Earlier, we have ingested the data into the Data Cloud. Whenever the data is ingested, a data lake object will be created. And firstly, in order to utilize the raw data that we have ingested into the data cloud, we need to create the mappings with data model objects. Data cloud utilizes the customer 360 data model to ensure data consistency. And customer 360 data model has various subject areas like party, sales order. And each subject area comprises of several objects, and each object again comprises of attributes relevant to that object. Data model object can be classified into two types. One is standard data model object and the second one is the custom data model object. What is standard data model object? Standard data model object comprises of commonly used objects like contact, account, case, and each and every standard data model object will have the most commonly used fields in the business. And these are ready to use and which will allow us to create the mapping quickly. Also, we can extend the standard data model object by creating new fields in the standard data model object. Now, custom data model object. When we should go for a custom data model object is if the standard data model object doesn't suffice the business needs, then we can create a custom data model object. A custom data model object can be created from the scratch according to the business needs, and we can define the fields relationship to our need. Let's walk through a practical example using our fictional company, Techron Group. Post logging into the org, click on the Data Streams tab. Here we will be able to see the list of data streams that we have created to bring the data into the data cloud. Now, in order to utilize the data that we have brought into the data cloud, we need to create the mappings between the data lake objects and the data model objects. Let us go back to the data streams. Click on the order data stream, and here we have the following fields that are available within our order data stream. On the right hand side, you will be able to see a data mapping section. Click on the start. Once you click on the start, you'll be redirected to a screen where we will be able to see the data lake object and the fields within it available in the left side of this module. And similarly, in the right hand side, we will be able to see data model entities, and click on the select objects button. In the select objects, we will be able to see two sections, standard data model and custom data model. In the custom data model, we have a button to create new custom object. As we have the standard object available, let us go back to the standard data model. Let us look for the sales order DMO. In order to see what are the fields that are present within the sales order DMO, click on the accordion and check for the fields. You can click on the plus sign to select that specific DMO and click on done. Here system has created few mappings between our order DLO and sales order DMO. We have the remaining fields in the DLO to create mapping with our DMO. Now, let us select the record ID within our data lake object and look for a relevant field within our data model object. Here we have the sales order. Once we click on this, system has created a mapping between the record ID and sales order ID. Similarly, we have status field. We can use the search fields search bar to look for the fields within our DMO. Now select the status field in DLO and select the sales order status. Similarly, for the total price, select the total price and select the grand total amount. We have one more field called ordered source. Let us look for any source field, and this is a formula field and we don't have any specific field relevant to that. So let us create a new field within our standard DMO. In order to do that, click on the unmapped accordion and click on add new field. Without saving the mappings, we cannot move ahead further. So let us first save the mappings. Click on the unmapped section and click on add new field. Let me give the name as ordered source and select the data type as text and select enable value suggestion and click on save. Now let us create the mapping between our ordered source and ordered custom field. Here if we see this specific field as custom as we have created it manually. Now click on save again to save the mappings. You can click on close to go back to the data stream. Now let us quickly check the contact data stream. We have ingested the contact data stream using a standard bundle. As we have used the standard bundle has created the mappings for the contact object. Let us quickly review the mappings that are created as part of this bundle. And if we want to make any modifications to the mappings, we can make it then. Here the contact DLO is mapped to the contact point address, contact point email, contact point phone, and individual. These objects are specific to the unification process, which we will discuss about them in detail during the unification process. Now, if we click on the arrow, we will be able to see to what field in the DLO is mapped to the DMO. Business phone is mapped to the telephone number, which is not appropriate. So let us first delete this mapping. Now let us create a mapping between our business phone and formatted 164 phone number, which is a standard one. Now click on save. Once we have validated the mappings, we can click on close. Now let us go to our data model tab, and here we have a list view. Here we will be able to see to which DMO our data lake object is related. Here we have two views, one is list and another one is graph. If we click on the graph, you will be able to see that sales order is not related to individual. Individual is the contact information where we have stored. In order to use the information that is available within the sales order, we need to create a relationship between the individual and sales order. In order to do that, click on the list option again and go to the sales order, select the relationships tab and click on new relationship. Select the new relationship, and we wanted to select the sold to customer as the field, and here we will be able to define the cardinality as either 1 to 1 or n to 1. In this case, we are going to select n to 1, and the object to which we wanted to relate is individual and the related field as individual ID. You can click on save and close. So once the relationship is created, it will be automatically closed. A new row is added over here. Click on the details and go back to the data model tab and select the graph now. If you see now, we have the relationship created between the sales order and individual. Now, let us see what is the information that was brought into our data model object for the orders. Under the objects, select the data model object and click on the search and look for the sales order. Now we have our data lake object information available within our data model object sales order. Best practices. Always maintain an offline dictionary or an inventory. What is the information that was brought into the data cloud?
and to which specific attribute that it was mapped to. Always we should try to utilize the standard data model, and if we found any gaps for the data which we are trying to map, we can extend the standard data model by creating new custom fields. If our standard data model doesn't suffice the business need, then we should go for the custom data model object. As we have seen earlier in the data model tab, we can visualize the relationships between the data model objects. This will help us to understand how each object is related to one another and if there is any relationship that is missing between the objects as well. Make sure to check the compatibility between the data lake object fields and as well as the data model object fields. Without having the compatibility between the objects, we won't be able to create a mapping between the objects. That wraps up today's episode on data mapping. In future episodes, we'll delve into more features of the Data Cloud. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our Salesforce Chronicles YouTube channel for more updates. Stay tuned.